I don't know, guys. What do you think? Can we pass this slow poke? I think this LT1 can do it. That's about half throttle, guys. And it's actually safer than a slowed vehicle where you're trying to pass somebody and you can't pass them and you end up going the wrong way. That's what happened to Sam Kinison. We are in Red Rock in a late model Jeep with an LT1 10-speed. What else? Last few videos I've talked about how much the market's changing, and just like everything else, whether it's the housing market, the parts supply chain, oil, gas prices, food prices, the automotive market's going through the same shakeup. So we have to work with what we got. And I'm going to start off by saying that we've had to raise our prices over the last year to keep up with the costs. A couple of years ago, the parts supply was a lot more consistent and the prices were lower. Motec has consistently given you a good value and has been priced under the market. Now, can you get cheaper swaps? Of course, it's like any other industry, but you get what you pay for, so be careful about that. We've done over 1,000 swaps and we have a little bit of experience. In fact, we were pretty much the pioneers of the LSJK all the way back to 2008. I believe we refined our LS swaps as far as we can go. It's a CAN interface, billet brackets, so we're using all the original accessories. We're laying them out where they need to be. It's just a really nice setup. Motec also pioneered the LT swap back in 2016. Early 2016, we started doing some L86s and L83s. Well, I'd like to tell you guys exactly what swaps cost. I can only tell you what they cost today because the market is just changing so rapidly. I want to let you know what's available as of now. Starting with the LS 5.3, they're available, but only used. I remember back in the day, we would buy them from GM Performance. We would buy them from our GM supplier, the production engines, and they were a song, but not anymore. Now we're buying higher mileage engines for more money. Plan on the high teens, maybe the low 20s for an LS 5.3 conversion. And let me say this, compare apples to apples. If you look at the 10-speed LT1 that I'm driving, I don't think there's any other swap out there that has the technical advancements or the benefits of this 10-speed direct injected LT1. So if you look at like a 6.4 Hemi going for the high 30s, we're still in the low 30s, and we'll get to that. So on a relative basis, yes, our prices have gone up, but relative to the market, our prices are still a good value. Moving up to the 6.0, you guys are lucky. We got a line on some new 6.0s. Expect the low to mid 20s on that swap with a new engine. And then a little bit less if you want to go with a low mileage engine. I have to say that the 6L80 and the 10L80, the core prices have just skyrocketed. The 10L80 core price went up $1,500, and I do believe the 6L80 is up to $2,000. So if you want to go with a used transmission, it's going to save you some money. We don't offer the 10-speed used at this point, but the 6-speed you can get either used or a reman. Remember, there are no new ones. Even the ones you get from GM are remanufactured. Then we move up to the LS 6.2, and this engine has some responsibilities. The LS3 obviously is an awesome engine. It's been around forever. It's been the preferred performance engine for over a decade for pretty much every kind of motorsport. However, the supply had dried up. When GM took them out of production in 2015, 2016, they were still cranking them out on the assembly line. But now I hear that they have it on a secondary assembly line, and they've had shortages, crankshaft shortages, other part shortages. So getting LS3s can be like pulling teeth. I even saw on Jags or Summit that they labeled it as no longer available, but my GM guy said no, it's still going to be available. On an LS3 swap, because of the increase of the price of the transmission and the engine and steel and everything else, you're going to be in the mid to high 20s on an LS3. Let's move up to the LT. A while back I did a video on the L83, and when I did that video, the L83s were plentiful. GM was still putting them in production vehicles. We were buying them from GM in crates at a good price, and we were doing the swap for the low 20s. Well, now that price has been pushed up to the mid to higher 20s, because GM went to the L84 and the L83 supply is pretty much dried up. Now we can still get used ones, and we still do have a few new ones in the shop because we bought as many as we could get, but the price is just going to be higher. The LT 5.3 and LS 6.0 perform very similar. If you get a 5.3, make sure you get a high gear transmission, an 8 or a 10 speed, because it makes a smaller displacement engine perform better. But if your jurisdiction allows the LS 6.0 or you have an older JK, then it's still a great combination. It's a good value. You guys know the strengths of the 6.0 iron engine. It's pretty much bulletproof. Moving on to the L86. The L86 is still a viable swap. It's not available new. I don't think it's ever been available new as a production engine. You can get it as a long block and build it, but that's really expensive. Back in 2016, when we started doing L86 swaps, the LT1 was just out there. Price was ridiculously high. I don't think GM Performance had them at that point. But the L86 you could get in wrecking yards. And we paid a lot of money for the original ones. I remember paying $8,000, $9,000 for the original direct injected L86s. Now they're a lot less than that. But the problem is the LT1 really has come down in price. And there's dynamics going on here. The LT1 went way down. It went from like $12,000 to $10,000 to $8,000. And if you shopped around, you can get it in the 7s. But first of the year, GM had a lot of price increases. So they raised the LT1 up. I think it's close to $9 grand, $80-something $100. So if you get a used L86 at a good price, it's still a good value. I would swap out the intake to the LT1, and you have to factor that cost in. You buy the used engine, make sure you get a good warranty. You have the vacuum pump on the L86, so if you have an XD box, you might think about going with the LT1 or eliminating that vacuum pump. But the point being that the L86 price to get a good one with a warranty has pretty much risen to within a couple $1,000s of a new crate GM LT1. So we've really been cranking these LT1s out. I don't even know how many I have in the shop. I probably got close to a dozen LT1 builds in progress right now. But really I see the LTs being polarized into two engines. One is the 5.3 LT, which is readily available on the used market, and then the new LT1. And I would say we probably do 3 LT1s for every 5.3 that we build in the shop. And why not? It's top of the line. It's the best engine and transmission combination out there, in my opinion. You got 460 horsepower, but that really acts like 500 horsepower with all the torque and everything else. You get decent economy. There's just no downside to this engine. You do have to run premium gas. It likes to run the premium gas. So the LT1 is going for the low 30s now. It was 30, then 31. I'm going to say you're going to be in the 32 to 33 range on a new LT1 10-speed as of today. GM did raise the core price on the 10L80 $1,500, which we have to pass through. GM raised the price of the new LT1, which has updated cam phasers to match the L87, $500. So we have to pass that on, and you're still in the low 30s. But compare that to what else is out there. You can spend $100,000 on a JL Hemi. You can easily spend $40,000 on a 6.4 Hemi and more money on a 5.7 Hemi that you're going to spend in an LT1 10-speed. I'm a pretty frugal guy, and I don't like to cut corners. What I like to do is make progress through efficiencies and rationalization. So whether it's economies from making a large number of parts or buying a large number of parts, that's where I try to save money. I don't try to save money by not doing the job right. And I think you can see that in our new kits. And by the way, we're only offering premium kits right now. The reason being that if you bought the basic kit, you didn't get the radiator, you didn't get the fan, you didn't get the battery tray, you didn't get so much stuff that most guys in the end would end up buying that stuff anyway. So the premium kit today is awesome. It comes with everything that the basic kit had. The LS kit, for example, comes with our full billet bracket set, which in and of itself is a pretty high dollar item. You get our new quad header radiator, a Camaro SS fan, a new GM harness along with our harness to integrate, our CAN module, of course. You're going to reuse your AC lines and power steering lines. The kit is designed to be all bolt-in, no fabrication. You get our easy mounts, and we have upgraded our engine mounts, by the way, to a newer, I'm not going to say it's higher quality, but it's built with a heat shield built in so that they last longer. On the LT, it's a little bit different. On the LT, you are going to get HP tuners. You're going to get an Aeroforce scan gauge or a Banks gauge, whichever you prefer. And I'm just going to say this, I really am a traditionalist and I like the Aeroforce gauge. We're finding that the Banks gauge, while an excellent gauge and it has the ability to display a lot of information, they still need to do a little bit of software updating on that before I'm going to be fully happy with it. So we're selling both. You can get either one you want, but I'm more of an Aeroforce guy at this point. In the LT kit, you are going to get the AC line adapters. There's an adapter to go on the AC compressor that converts it to AN, and then we're going to give you an AN line that goes from the compressor to the condenser and the firewall. You're going to reuse your stock lines, but you're just going to use these extensions that we supply. We've been including HP tuners in all the LT kits. The LTs are kind of a different level, and sometimes there's a requirement to program the transmissions, especially the high gear transmissions, and it's good to have that ability. And not only that, HP tuners gives you an awesome scanner. If you have to do any kind of programming, like you change your tire size, you put a different air filter on. I just had a guy, I don't know where he is, he made a really interesting box for his air intake, but that changed the MAF calibration. So I walked him through how to do that online, and there's no reason to send your computer to us. So we include HP tuners in all the LT1 kits. I guess I should say something about this Jeep. It's very well done. It has a ton of stuff, but he did a good job. It drives pretty good. It's got a little bit of twitchiness from the hydraulic steering. We do have an Atlas in this one, and I can hear a teeny bit of whine, but it actually sounds pretty cool in my opinion. And of course with this LT1, it just sails along effortlessly. We're going to be doing some shop videos here to change things up, so stay tuned. We're going to take this LT1 10-speed JK on the trail, and we'll see you shortly.